Hi, everybody. Here's Amazeowl. I'm joined by the Amazeowl Owl, as you can see, and also by Dan Moody. And Dan is an expert in listing optimization, and he's going to run us through how you can pimp out your listing and some of the services that he offers related to that. So, welcome, Dan.
Hey Bob, thanks for having me on today.
All right. So what we'll do, I think, to begin is just have you talk a little bit about your background, about your experience with listing optimization, and yeah.
Okay, so I've been active on Amazon for I think about 3 years now, and I started offering copywriting and listing services almost at the same time as I started selling because I had some initial problems with my account where it got suspended because I hadn't set some things up properly, and because I kind of had a history of writing and copywriting, and now I was working with Amazon listings. I started to offer a service side to what I was doing as well to kind of help me out whilst I was waiting for Amazon to, you know, make sure everything was okay and get back on track. So that was how I got started with the listing copywriting part of my business fairly quickly. So, fast forward to today, it's still one of the main things I do, and I've probably, well, I don't know, hundreds of listings I've written by now. And basically, I've got it down to a kind of an art form where I have a pretty good understanding of how listings behave and how we can optimize them and write them to at least give a product the best chance of success when it's a competitive marketplace like Amazon. Specifically, and again, this is listing specifically for Amazon and the keyword research specifically for Amazon as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think a lot of people underestimate the power of the of a of making your listing as good as possible. I actually heard a statistic not long ago from a company that does localization. Excuse me, I'm all choked up. Who does listing translations, and they were promoting Manchester United products for Germany, and so originally they had tried to do the listing themselves, and of course this is a localization uh, uh, into a different language, but it's related because they tried to do it themselves, and so technically it was in German. But once they got this company to optimize their listing in the correct language for Amazon, their sales, I'm not exaggerating, went up by 1,000%. So
Wow.
the impact of getting it right, it's not just about, okay, the English is correct. It's actually part art and part science, and I think that a lot of people underestimate that.
I think, yeah, I think that's pretty accurate to say it's part art and part science because I find quite often people that are maybe new to e-commerce and the general concepts like keyword and stuff that go with it can find it quite difficult to get their head around sometimes the fact that things like keyword research and list go hand in hand, almost like when you write an article for a website, you also need to understand the keywords related to what subject you're talking about so people can have the best chance possible of finding your site, your product, or your service. And the same kind of rule applies everywhere. I mean, it's even more difficult when you throw another language into the mix as well, because then it has to be, as you said, properly localized. And that's definitely one thing where people on the European platforms kind of fall short because, if you don't speak the language and you get a Fiverr translation, you have no idea of gauging the effectiveness unless you understand that language basically, so you can tell, is this a good translation or a bad translation?
Right. Yeah. So I think this is a good point to tell us a little more about what is an optimized listing and kind of the tools related. I mean, you actually have quite a few, especially in keywords, you use quite a few tools when you're building out these listings. Maybe you can walk us through a little bit about how that process works.
Okay, so yeah, the first thing which is important to talk about is what do we actually mean when we say an optimized listing, because it's almost a buzzword and a buzz term that gets thrown around, and I wonder how many people actually understand what that actually means. So I can give my definition, and when we talk about an optimized listing, it means a listing which has proper keyword research done and baked into the listing. So that's the first part of it. The keyword research, it has to be good, specific to Amazon, relevant, and then woven in to the copy. The next part is the copy itself should be, well, this is a little bit kind of a little bit subjective, but the copy should be good and it should have calls to action, and the end goal is it should potential customers to say, like, for example, if I've got this collagen supplement on my screen, if I'm a potential customer, then I shouldn't be left with any questions about the product when I look at the listing. So I should instantly understand what it is, what it's going to do, any possible little question that could pop into my mind, I should naturally find within the listing as well. And then it should also prompt me to uh, take some kind of an action, which obviously in the case of products on Amazon would be to add to cart, or at least to kind of wish list it or shortlist it. And then the other elements of the listing, which are important in terms of optimization, are the images. Images and title, probably two of the most important things. So you can see some sellers make a good job of it and other sellers make a bad job. So say, like, for example, this was quite nice use of images because they've not just got 6 3D renders of the product from different angles, which some people do. They show the bottle, they have some kind of trust badges, like it's GMP certified, gluten-free. They have some lifestyle images, which again is always nice to include if you can include it. They have an ingredients kind of label. They have a kind of a trust thing showing the reviews, thousands of satisfied customers, social proof, and then obviously they've got the back of their label on there as well, which people can kind of zoom into and have a look. So that's optimization in terms of images. You want to have everything in there. So basically, an optimized listing should cover all of those points, and also on the back end, it should have the customer search terms, and the listing should be filled out as well as it possibly can be on the back end of sellers. And the other important thing to understand about an optimized listing in terms of keywords as well is what Amazon indexes and what Amazon can attribute rank to. So obviously the algorithm takes into account lots and lots and lots of different variables, the particular buyer history and consumer behavior and stuff as well. But the things we can control are the title. So you have to make sure you have your main keywords should always be in the title.
Title is key, right? That's
no pun
in
intended.
terms of your hierarchy, title comes at the top, right?
Yeah, title is always at the top, and I think that's pretty much the same for any e-commerce engine, whether it's eBay, Etsy, anything. Title is, that's your main spot. So the next most important section is the product features, which we call the bullets. Again, you get given up to 5, so you should always use all 5. And I always like to end on the money back guarantee policy, because again, it's something people want to know about. If they do have if something does go wrong, they want to know about what's going on. So usually with this, personally, I like to include maybe 2 different keywords in each. depending, it depends. Sometimes it might be more natural to have 3. Sometimes it might be more natural to have 4, and then perhaps in some you might not even have it. You use variations of the keyword as well. So you try to avoid repetition. If you've already said collagen supplement once, you don't need to say collagen supplement, multiple times. That would be that when you rely on your keyword research when you do this, because you don't really want to be guessing anything. You should have a kind of a compass, which is the keyword research, and then if you're writing it or you're creating it yourself, your main goal is to at least get in all those variations. And then even if you're not a particularly brilliant copywriter, you're at least people are at least going to have the best chance of finding your listing. So for the keyword research programs I most commonly use these days would be Merchant Words, which is a subscription. Well, they're all subscription based. And the one thing I'll quickly say about Merchant Words is it's not 100%. It's not 100% accurate. Nobody can get direct data from Amazon, so any tool that we use is always kind of an estimation. But I find the value in something like Merchant Words in it. It gives me hundreds of different kind of variations and permutations of a word and of a keyword and of a phrase that people are searching for, and at least it shows me the numbers might be off. So say it might not be 2,000 or 10,000 searches for that keyword, but it will at least show me which one is kind of the more popular one, which helps me decide what I'm going to put in my title. So I've always been a big fan of Merchant Words, and I've always been pretty happy with the results using it.
So just to clarify, what you're doing there is to try to find the keywords that are going to give the most bang for the buck in terms of getting you in front of the maximum number of customers.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to understand which is the most popular set of keywords that people are using to find the products. And then, of course, you can go down the list and you can find the less popular keywords, but some might be a bit more obscure. And then you can, you can seed those into the bullets. So you don't have to just include the most competitive high-end keywords. You can also, mix things up and have some of the, say, for example, maybe the longer ones or the slightly more obscure ones in the bullets as well. Again, it all comes down to the keyword research is the compass, and then you kind of decide what to do with it. And always, it's not going to be relevant to the product either. So if you were selling a phone case, obviously one set of keywords would be related to phone case, but then some of them might be for iPhone, some of them might be for I don't know, Samsung, for example. So you use common sense that if you've got an iPhone case, you're not going to put in Samsung Galaxy phone case simply because it's got a lot of traffic. Same thing with, say, like, again, we've got this collagen supplement. If you've got soft gels, then you wouldn't put soft gels in the title even if you saw it was popular, because if they're veggie capsules, then you focus around those things. But of course, that's just basic common sense stuff that I think most people understand. And then the other keyword research program I use is Keyword Inspector, and they have all kinds of different keyword search options. So without saying, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but the one I use is they have an extended search which costs 15 credits. So again, I have a subscription, but you can purchase one-time use credits. And basically what that does is it allows me to take a popular listing and it kind of runs it through Keyword Inspector, and it shows me what keywords that product is ranking for. And basically it gives me a kind of understanding of, okay, here's a popular product, and here's the kind of keywords and combinations people are using to find it. So I've got, those are the basic two I use. Sometimes I add in other tools as well, but I find, generally speaking, those two together are pretty good. And like I said, they've always got me quite good results that I've been quite happy with.
Okay, great. I'll also plug one of the tools that Amazeowl has integrated and that is that if you do a tracked product and then you go in, I'll just actually try to share my screen here. And show you that when you go into, so if you go into competitors and reports, here's an example with a travel sewing kit, I believe we're looking at. Just a second here. Yeah, travel sewing kit. So if you go into competitors and reports, then one of the tabs is called keywords, and this is actually keywords that are the most common keywords that have been pulled from the top selling listings. So titles, bullets as well, and even descriptions. And you can download all of those so that you get a good kind of idea of what the most common words are that the top sellers are using inside their listings.
That's
So end
very
of
cool. One
plug.
thing, plug, yeah, it's the Amazeowl screencast. So it's always good to plug away on anything that can give you more keywords and ideas. But that's actually quite good. Something like that with a word cloud is quite good for the search terms on the back end of Amazon, where you get, I think 250, I think is the
ever
limit now.
decreasing.
Yeah, it goes up, it goes down. It's pretty weird, but I actually keep them just under 200 characters out of paranoia that maybe they'll change it again. But of course, that's always a good place for individual keywords that you might not have used in your listing. And also, I quite like to put misspellings in there as well. So some people, I think it's worth mentioning that some people get kind of quite caught up with those keywords on the back end. And I've never ever found that impactful in terms of what they do. So people should be more paranoid about their title and their bullets than they should be about the back end, because I mean, again, with the back end, you get given a very limited amount of keywords you can use. And there's some things you can use in there. You can use things like Prime, or you can put in names of holidays, so you've got an extra chance of appearing for those things in the results. But generally speaking, spend your paranoia dollars on the bullets and on the title.
Okay, so I'm dying to ask you this because I think you've been showing us a fairly good listing, but I want to see you rip apart a crap listing.
Well, this this listing's not too crap, but I'll give it a mild rip. So this is for these pair of like novelty socks, and their images are okay given what it is. I mean, it's a pair of socks. There's only so much you can do. If you sell a set of wheelchair wheels or something like that, there's only so much pizzazz you can put in your images. But the things that I would like to highlight on this listing, which perhaps aren't so fantastic, again, in the images, they could still be doing a bit more in terms of they could have
pretty unprofessional.
yeah, I mean, it's just a guy's socks, but I mean, they could have a sizing chart. Could be one image. They could have another image on whether this product was, because a lot of these things might be print on demand, in which case you can put up a made in the US or made and shipped from the US type thing. Of course, this one's fulfilled by Amazon, so it's kind of irrelevant. They could have another image showcasing some of their product reviews. So there's a few little things they could be doing. But then kind of more where they're leaving money on the table is in their bullets, because basically, they've just got some very super general stuff about the sock material. I can see it's clutching gas. There's stuff like that. It's not. They're not really making use of any kind of keywords in their bullets. So again, things like this, I would expect to see the keyword novelty socks in the title. I mean, like I said, without doing the keyword research myself, I mean, funny socks, novelty socks. If I'm not sure what JDM is, presumably it might be a show or something. I don't know. It could be like parody socks or things like that. There's basically just not much that they're doing in terms of their title. I mean, they've lead with the brand, but again, if you have a brand that nobody knows, then it's kind of a wasted slot. And then coming down into the bullets, they've kind of got the basic information in there, but again, not many keywords, which is the number one thing, is the keywords need to be in there. But then of course the number two, they've almost got like, this kind of looks like it might be their money back policy, but it just says, we want you to be happy with your purchase. So it kind of is, but it kind of doesn't tell me anything. So let me know, what's the return policy? How many days do I get if I'm unhappy with it? Another bullet for this type of product should be about, this is a funny gift. Couple of keywords, this would be a perfect gift for JDM fans. So they've got socks for JDM fans, but maybe it could be gift for JDM fans, gifts, plurals, permutations. So again, one bullet on the gifts, maybe another bullet on super fast shipping, because I find sometimes if there's not loads to say about a product, I'll maybe do a bullet and just highlight the fact it's FBN, that you'll get the item quickly. And then maybe another bullet. So they've got their size bullet, but perhaps they could have something which should, which could be lead with kind of some kind of an emotion that, these socks will fit anyone, or something like that, or perfect comfort fit, and then give us the information on the sizing. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people have feet that socks are a problem, but I don't know. It's not
well, also, I think for this product, they should have a left and a right indicated, because if you could really end up being a nasty situation if the user puts them on the wrong feet and then tries to drive.
That's true, actually. That's true, actually. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So there's just the main sin they're committing is the sin of no keywords. And then the secondary sin is just kind of lackluster. Again, with bullets, generally speaking, you kind of want to lead with emotion first, and then you come in with like the details. There are some exceptions to that rule. If you sell a phone case, then or something technical like a USB stick or something, then you want to be more focused on the details of the product, not the emotion that this USB stick is going to make you feel great when you're downloading stuff from the internet or whatever. In that particular example, it's not fit, but for most other things it is. And then of course their product description is the main product description sin is the block of text, which we should always format the product description with HTML, so it's at least broken up. So
the user, the reader, is just going to zone out when they look at that.
Yeah. So again, you can see like the collagen. Not that this is particularly good in my opinion, in terms of like the copy, but it's good enough, and it's set out. It's at least legible. I can read it, and it's I can quickly see their benefits. And it's readable. Again, you still want to reiterate your money back policy, and you'd still want to end with a call to action. Add to cart. Some people don't like to do that, which is which is fine. But you should always have your stuff formatted. And also another thing which should always apply to most products is, if we're selling on Amazon, you should always try and emphasize why your product is worth choosing or buying, as opposed to the similar ones. Because for most things on Amazon, you can see similar ones. So like, here's another gas clutch set of socks with more reviews. So somebody might see this, they might be on the fence and scroll down and see the next one, which is basically the same but with more reviews and the price point, and they might just kind of click out into that one and buy that one. So it's always worth highlighting why your product is superior, or why people should choose your product over some of the other ones. So I mean, again, it generally depends on your product. So in the real, in the best case scenario, you should have a product that you're proud of and that has some kind of a hook to it that other products don't. So it might be a bundle. In terms of supplements, is again a bit tricky, because it's short of kind of maybe 3 bottles instead of 2, or kind of going in for a price thing. It can be a little bit tricky, because you don't really want to price war. Low price thing is not what you want to hit. But obviously this one I just chose, I looked at, it's Amazon Choice, so they've got an extra advantage because it's a popular product. They get this this gets generated as well. But
the mysterious algorithm decided that it was a top seller.
yeah, because you've got, what is it? You've got Amazon Choice, and then there's like Buyer Choice. There's three little badges you can get. So I mean, in terms of things like this, it's a little bit tricky, but again, maybe certain supplements might have extra some kind of extra thing in their formula. Maybe another thing might be they don't use proprietary blends. So if you were a supplement and you didn't use what they call a prop blend, then you could highlight the fact that your product's more transparent, because the customer can look at the label and you can see exactly the percentages of everything you get in the supplement. Whereas other supplements that use proprietary blends, they tell you've got, apples, bananas, and peaches in here, but you don't know the percentage. You could get 1% apple and 70% banana, and then another smaller percentage. Whereas if, for you as the buyer, you might want more of the apple kind of thing. It's just one of those things that it does differ on a product to product basis. And you have to kind of think about your product and what you can highlight wherever possible. A good tip for that is if you look in product reviews, you can see people generally talk about the things they like, and they generally talk about the things they don't like. So if you're looking at the competition, you can look at kind of negative things people are saying about the product, and you can think about a way that maybe you can incorporate that into your listing. So you can say, unlike most, we don't do this. Or if you've improved your product, because some people, when they private label, one of the first things they do is you find the product you like. So you say, okay, I'm going to do the socks. And then you look at the negative things people are saying and you improve your product, or you bundle it. So in the case of improvements or bundles, then you've also got a good sales hook that should be highlighted in your, preferably in your images and in your bullets as well, just to say, people have got a lot of choice, and you want to kind of drive it home that, this is going to be the this should be the set of gas clutch socks that you choose. Yeah. Of course, not everybody's products is differentiated and stuff like that, but that kind of is a different that's a different problem set.
Okay, so speaking of a call to action, you actually provide listing optimization services, right? So somebody can come to you. I know this because actually you did my own listing. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your services and yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I have my own website where I kind of blog about Amazon. Well, I guess write articles on mostly Amazon topics with a bit branching out. And of course, I have a service for as well, which is listing creation. And typically, if I create a listing, then everything we've talked about comes with it. So I do all the keyword research, then I create the listing, and everything is then ready to go and ready to implement and upload to Seller Central. And also you can use the keyword research as well to build out your pay-per-click campaigns as well. You can essentially just copy and paste, because you've got a list of
because you deliver the keyword research with the listing, correct?
Yeah, and then you can, that's something, well, some people like to dig into that more. Other people say, what do I do with this keyword research? And I say, well, whatever you want to do with it. You can make your pay-per-click campaigns. It's a reference, it's a compass. So that's the service I provide. And of course, we've also done a special deal for Amazeowlers as well, where they get some money off, and they can order from within Amazeowl as well if they've got their product ready. And of course, if there's any questions, people can still reach out to me via danmoodyfba.com, or come over to my website, which is dan-moody.com. Again, any questions, I'm always around to kind of answer and be as useful and helpful as possible as well.
Yeah, and also we'll be posting this in the Amazeowl user group, and you'll be able to interact with people's questions that they might have on there. So this has been great, Dan. Like I said, you did my own listing. I think you've got the combination of the art and the science going really well. and I'd strongly recommend your services for doing listings. And if you decide that you need help, if you don't, then you know, Dan, you've provided a lot of useful information and given some good examples of how to get it right and get it not get it right.
Hopefully anybody who wants to do their own listing has at least enough ideas in place to be able to quickly, you know, at least understand how they can kind of put the building blocks in.
Fantastic. All right, we'll wrap it up here. But thanks a lot, Dan, and we'll get together again soon.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
All right, see you, Dan.
Bye.